Well, we've made it back to the lab here at Diverse Dimensions after a huge day on the road. Just got back from a client in Wisconsin, so we've had plenty of windshield time and plenty of time on their campus too. We were actually measuring up a fixture and certifying it before they could ship it off to their client. So we had multiple arms going on today. I haven't even unpacked this stuff yet, but definitely wanted to capture this video for you guys. But yeah, multiple arms, multiple device positions going on, so it was a pretty exciting day. But what we had is we had a leapfrog that failed calculation. On our third device position, we had the error code come up that just said it failed that leapfrog. So what I had to do was resurrect that part of the model, and I've captured that video for you guys, and I want to show you step by step how that happened and what we did to get around that, because we've got some hints and some tricks to get around some of those failures, and this is a good example of that one as well. But I've peeled out the audio. I got rid of all of the audio from that measurement session just because it's a little crazy. It's a little hairy. We had a lot of barnyard language going on. We had some frustration going on. So we've peeled that out for you guys. And I'm going to narrate, and I'm going to do play-by-play as good as I can. And I'm going to give you guys the clean version of what actually happened today. So jump into the SAT file with me. This should be a pretty good session. If you haven't seen this leapfrog error before, good for you. That's great. It's bitten me on a couple occasions, not all the time, but it shouldn't scare you away from using that leapfrog, because that is such an incredible part of CAM2 that you should never be afraid of using that, because it might happen. It might fail that calculation, but we've got the way to work around that. So jump into the SAT file with me here, and let's go through it step by step. Okay, this video that I captured during this session was about 3 minutes long, just a little bit more than 3 minutes. And there's a lot of content going on here. It was a pretty fast thing that we did because we were in front of the client, and we wanted to make sure that they knew that we knew what we were doing. So it made sense to kind of go through this quick. So I will start and stop in different spots and just explain what I've got going on. One thing I did want to say, though, is before every leapfrog we do, we always do a save. We always save the SAT file or the FCE file just to make sure that we've got that data captured and it's saved, so that if it does give us this hiccup, that we can go and resurrect that file and start fresh again. So I'm just going to start this up here, but just remember, always save before you do the leapfrog. Okay, here we go. Let's fire it up. Okay, well, I would run out and I would grab the devices menu here, since I was going to go do that leapfrog. So the move device position, right there is the leapfrog. Okay, let's stop right there for just a second. Just wanted to let you guys know that we had this failure occur before. On our first leapfrog, you can notice that I've got a setup of cones that are new. Cone 1, 2, and 3 are actually new, and that's what we did to get out of the failure of this leapfrog on the first attempt. So you can see that in my data there. I've got 3 new cones for the leapfrog. But this leapfrog that I'm going to do was for cones 4, 5, and 6. Okay, here we go. Okay, highlighted them, said okay. All right, move the device. We did that. And then it said measure 0.4 on cone here. I'm going to stop for just a second there and let you know that this was myself and my counterpart Tim that were doing this. So it makes sense to have 2 of us do that. One was driving the laptop, one was driving one of the Faro arms. So it just made sense to just bark out instructions back and forth to each other. So he was taking the points inside the cones. There was cone 4, no problem there. It's asking for cone 5 now. He runs to the other side and shoots cone number 5 here. Boom, it solves for that position. Now here comes cone 6, just like that pronto. Boom. Okay, let me stop a second there. As soon as you hit the front button or hit the OK or the Enter key, it solves for that new device position. It was supposed to be device position 3, and it failed the calculation. No idea why. The cones were spaced out appropriately. We had plenty of distance between them. The points were taken as comp off points. So pretty textbook. That's the same thing we've been doing for almost every leapfrog we've done. So it seemed to work every other time, or most of the times. But here came this failure, this error here. So let's continue through this a second. First thing I say is okay to that in a second here after I said some choice words and said okay. So let's open up that file again, the file that we saved just prior to this leapfrog that we attempted here. So say no, I truly don't want to save what I've just done right there. So say no to that, and then we'll give it a couple seconds to pull that model back in. Here it comes. Okay, we'll head up to the devices pull-down menu here, but instead of using the move device position, we're going to go to device position new. Once we set that up, it's putting together here a device position 3 for us without executing the leapfrog. It's just setting up that new device position. Okay, now let's go and measure those leapfrog cones again with comp off points. So we'd go out and take a poke on each one of those cones again. Here would be the first cone that we shot. It was cone 4, but we call it cone 4 new, just to make that name just a little bit different here. Now Tim would run out to point number 5 there, or cone 5. Cone 5 new. This is one thing to note too, is that we're using comp off points inside of our leapfrog cones. Now that we've got those 3 points, or those new positions tracked inside of this SAT file, we'll run right out there to review features a second and do our nominal associations. Okay, I'll stop right there for just a second. There are the latest, or the 3 latest positions. Of course, we haven't moved those cones. They're in the same spot. But what we're going to do is we're going to associate the new click that we put in there, the new comp off point, to the old position. So if I'm highlighted right now in cone 4, now I'll continue on through. I'm going to go to the nominals tab and associate it to the old position for cone 4. Same for 5 new. We'll make him the old position for 5. And same for 6. And then say okay to that. Now here's the trick behind this whole deal. The leapfrog will do the same thing. I'll stop right there for just a second. It's just using the same technique, but it's just putting a macro together, and it's just doing it in one click of a button. But now if I continue on, under the device position, we'll go to define. And then notice the screen that comes up. I'll stop right there for just a second. It's going to look the same as what we saw with the other leapfrogs. It's an iterative alignment between those minimum of 3 points right there. You might have more points, but we've got 3 here on those cones. So now let me continue on with that. I'll highlight all 3 of them, and I'm going to say okay. Now there we go. That's what I expected to see on the first go round. I've got 6/10 of a max error. I'm going to hit the stop on that for just a second. I always look at that max error just to see how it's solved for that second position, and it looks like it's 6/10 as a max error away from the first set of cones that we had for 4, 5, and 6. So that's what I'd expect to see out of a leapfrog. But if you do see that failed calculation error, this would be the great way to get around that. But always remember, save your file before you do the leapfrog.